Hi everyone, this is Dean Rader. Welcome back to Poems That Changed Me. This is an especially exciting episode because you're getting 3 poems for the price of 1. I'm going to be talking about the great Lucille Clifton and 3 poems from her fantastic 1992 book, The Book of Light. These are the so-called leda poems, and I found that people don't know these poems as much as I feel like they should. And I'll talk about a couple of different reasons why these poems were transformative for me. And if you don't know the story of Leda and the Swan from Greek mythology, Leda is a young woman who Zeus wants to have sex with, and so he transforms himself into a swan and rapes her. And traditionally, at least in painting and sculpture, and sometimes even in poetry, this act is romanticized or I don't know, somehow rendered acceptable because Zeus is a swan rather than a man, and perhaps its brutality is somehow diminished by way of traditional representation. And of course, Clifton and her greatness undermines all of that. Leda 1. There is nothing luminous about this. They took my children. I live alone in the backside of the village. My mother moved to another town. My father follows me around the well, his thick lips slavering. And at night, my dreams are full of the cursing of me, fucking God, fucking me. Leda 2. A note on visitations. Sometimes another star chooses. The ones coming in from the east are dagger-fingered men, princes of no known kingdom. The animals are raised up in their stalls, battering the stable door. Sometimes it all goes badly. The inn is strewn with feathers, the old husband suspicious, and the fur between her thighs is the only shining thing. Leda 3. A personal note. R.E. Visitations. Always pyrotechnics, stars spinning into phalluses of light, serpents promising sweetness, their forked tongues thick and erect, patriarchs of birds exposing themselves in the air. This skin is sick with loneliness. You want what a man wants. Next time, come as a man, or don't come. Those are really great poems. So a couple of things were really important for me regarding this poem. I remember coming across this book when I was in graduate school, and I had been trying to translate Rilke's poem about Leda and the Swan, and I had been reading Yeats's famous poem about that as well. And I don't remember how I found Clifton's book, but I remember being really moved by these 3 poems in much the same way I was moved by H.D.'s poem Eurydice, in that it is a sort of retelling of these myths from the woman's point of view. And I remember being really sort of shocked by the line, fucking God, fucking me, that the word fucking and God were in the same line. And I thought that was really edgy and kind of phenomenal at the same time. I really admired how edgy these poems were, how far Clifton was willing to go to expose and to critique the entire history of the glorification of rape in Western culture and Western literature. She really makes you see the Leda story through an entirely different lens. And I love her short, direct, and yet elegant retelling of these tales that also make you question who the speaker is in all 3 of these poems. I think that the poems play with point of view in really interesting ways. Is the speaker of Leda 1 the same as the speaker of Leda 3? Maybe, maybe not. I feel like by the time we get to the last couple of lines of Leda 3, the gap between Leda, if Leda is the speaker, and Clifton is a pretty narrow gap. And I like this notion of address as well, that the poems engender. I think they're really smart and kind of radical and revolutionary in remarkable ways. The other more personal way that this poem changed me is that, to my knowledge, it's one of the first times I had come across a book published by Copper Canyon Press. And if I'd encountered one earlier, it's entirely possible, but this is the first time I remember thinking about the press, which has now become my press. And I think it is amazing that I am on the same list as Lucille Clifton, who I think is actually one of the most underrated American poets. Anyway, these poems are amazing. I like teaching them. Students love reading them, especially against the more famous poems by Yeats and Rilke. But I hope if this is the first time you're encountering these poems that they are transformative for you as well.